movie friends, welcome back to the channel. Dead Meat Friends, of course, Dead Meat Friends. We're going to be doing another Dead Meat reaction, and this one's going to be for Halloween H20 20 years later, which actually, in my personal opinion, is one of my least favorite of the Halloween franchise. Though I still think it's a decent overall movie. I still prefer Halloween 2018 over this one. I know it. She's not really as insane as like Halloween 2018 in this film, Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode, but I still prefer the 2018 film. Not only I think does it have a better overall tone and more of the Halloween feel to it, it's just to me an overall better movie. However, I do like some of the aspects of H2O. It doesn't really sit with me that well. Don't like the Michael Myers. Don't really like the setting, don't really like the atmosphere. There's not a lot going on here that makes it feel like a Halloween holiday film. So, and it takes place in California. Don't really care for that. So, anyways, we're going to go ahead and dive into this thing. If I had to give my favorite kill, it would probably go to Laurie Strode's boyfriend. Though I do think the girl who falls down the chute and breaks her ankle or gets her ankle shut in it and then murdered by Michael Myers is also a pretty good kill. So, those are probably my picks. I would say the lamest kill is well, actually, it would probably be Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character because you don't get to see his kill, and that would have been nice to see. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive into what James has to say about H2O. So if you like this type of content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. We post as often as we can. We keep it retro while we do it, and we enjoy doing it. So Halloween H2O, 20 years later. Now.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at Halloween H2O, the 7th Halloween film, released 20 years after the original in 1998. Although H2O came out just 3 years after Curse of Michael Myers, it feels like a movie from an entirely different era, probably because it does. By this point, Scream has been released, and as I'm sure you're all sick of hearing me say, it completely changed the genre. Interestingly, the screenwriter of Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, Kevin Williamson, was a co-EP on H2O and wrote an early draft of the screenplay. In Williamson's original draft, though, H2O acknowledged all the previous films. That all changed when Jamie Lee Curtis signed on to the project. Curtis's return as Laurie Strode was a huge selling point for H2O, and is probably what kept it from being a direct-to-video release. Because the franchise had gotten increasingly complicated, silly, and less lucrative, with all the crap introduced in Revenge and Curse, Curtis and director Steve Miner, who had helmed the first two Friday the 13th sequels 16 years earlier, decided to make H2O a direct sequel to Halloween 2. It would be the real Halloween 3, as they described it, and thus we get our first split in the Michael Myers timeline. In H2O, parts 4, 5, and 6 never happened, and Laurie Strode's daughter Jamie never existed. Sucks for that character and anyone who loved all the Thorn stuff. I'm sure there are dozens of you. But damn, is H2O a refreshing entry to the series. It's back to basics yet again, but this time with a healthy dose of humor. And because of Scream's influence, not only are the characters hip with quips, but there's also a healthy dose of meta, not only to previous Halloween films, but also to the horror genre as a whole. I'll admit the humor and meta stuff can be a little much sometimes, but come on, man, at least it's better than this.
All clear.
Here, you got a point.
Sadly, with Donald Pleasence's passing, this would be the first Michael Myers film without Sam Loomis in hot pursuit. But to be fair, it is hard to imagine how the crazy doctor would fit in with a film that takes place on the campus of a California boarding school. Can Michael score more kills without Looney Loomis chasing after him? Let's find out and get to them.
Let's see. Let's see it. Okay.
The movie begins with Mr. Sandman playing over some pumpkin carving, helping to remind viewers that this movie is a direct sequel to Halloween 2. Yeah, just keep in mind, in this movie, Laurie and Michael are still siblings, but that's not the case in the new film coming out later this month.
Wasn't it her brother who murdered all those babysitters?
No. It was not her brother. That's something that people made up.
That movie's a direct sequel to the original film only. It's confusing, I know, but you got it. We visit Langdon, Illinois,
which I prefer
far from Haddonfield, where chimney stack nurse Marion Chambers makes her return to the series. It's great because she's played by the same actor from Halloween's 1 and 2, Nancy Stevens. Today, though, she's running into some trouble. Apparently, her house has been broken into. She enlists the help of 2 teenage hockey fans, her neighbor Jimmy, played by a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and his buddy Tony, a big fan of the Surgeon General.
Hasn't anyone told you? Secondhand smoke kills.
Yeah, but they're all dead.
After calling the cops, Jimmy heads over to check out Marion's house for himself, using the immortal powers of youth. All he ends up doing, though, is stealing some beers and accidentally getting spooked enough to wreck the drying rack with his hockey stick. Yo, ref, you gonna call Slash in there or what? He comes outside to tell Ms. Chambers that everything's okay, and in the process, gives us a taste of the humor in this movie that, in my opinion, usually works.
Oh, and also, they messed up your kitchen really bad, too. Yeah. Good night.
It's better than Barry kicks ass. Nurse Chambers' office is wrecked, with a picture of Sam Loomis knocked down and the files from her Laurie Strode folder missing. That very specific burglaring is enough to send her running next door again.
She knew
ain't
immediately.
putting up with no boogeyman bullshit. When she gets to Jimmy's house, though, she finds him dead in a lazy boy with an ice skate lodged deep into his face.
Good
Come
fake,
on,
good.
ref, if that ain't a slashing penalty, I don't know what is. Marion runs through Jimmy's house of
Good
horrors,
effects.
only to find another
Look at
corpse
this,
in the form of Tony, whose dead body was somehow standing upright outside that door with a knife in his back. I always think it's kind of dumb when horror movies have bodies act like haunted house props. But maybe Michael was just holding the body up himself, cause don't look now, but oh lord, he coming. He rearms himself with a knife right as some cops arrive outside, and even though Marion fights back with a fire poker,
Some of the
she's
angles with the
unable to
mask
get
don't
the
look bad.
attention of the cops who are checking out her house next door, despite her most valiant efforts. Ouch, a throat slit takes out a legacy Halloween character, but at least she was a fighter to the end. And let's be real, if Michael hadn't gotten her, all those
She
cigarettes
did a good
probably would have
job.
eventually anyway. To add insult to injury, Michael once again steals Marion Chambers' car to make his escape. The crime scene is investigated by Detective Exposition, who says that Dr. Loomis had actually lived in this house under Marion's care until his natural death some time ago. They go into Loomis's old office, which is full of
I
stuff
did
he
like
had been
that. I like
collecting
that was
ever
kind of
since
a neat
Michael
thing.
Myers'
She took
body
care of him.
disappeared during the hospital fire 20 years ago. Speaking of which, now's a good time for a title card, 20 years later. An opening credits sequence plays out over B-roll of
Good
all the
opening
stuff in Loomis's
credits.
study, as
Yeah.
voice actor Tom Kane recites Donald Pleasance's speech about Michael Myers from the first film.
I met this 6-year-old child with the blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
He does a pretty decent Loomis, and fun fact, Tom Kane also played Darwin in The Wild Thornberrys alongside Danielle Harris, who voiced older sister Deborah. The more you know. Let's get out of Langdon and head home to Haddonfield,
he did a good
Summer Glen,
job.
California, to the Hillcrest Academy
Yeah,
High School,
I wish they
where it's
didn't do
everyone's
that.
favorite holiday, Halloween. Laurie Strode has
Or added
moved
more
here and is
Halloween
living
feel, and
under
I
the
would've been
alias
more okay with
Carrie
it.
Tate, with her 17-year-old son John, played by introducing Josh Hartnett. Although they both seem like pretty cool people, they butt heads because she's overprotective, especially around this time of year. Probably because she keeps having visions of Michael all the time. Because of her paranoia, she's not letting John go on a school trip to Yosemite with the rest of his classmates that weekend. But lucky for him, various factors have made it so his girlfriend Molly, played by Michelle Williams, and their friends Sarah and Charlie aren't going either. So they'll all be staying back on campus together.
The whole place will be empty.
That girl
To
gets
run
her
a-
ankle
have a
broken.
roaming orgy.
I love the way this man thinks.
As headmistress of this expensive-ass boarding school, Carrie Tate tells the rest of the student body
yeah,
to
she
behave
changed her
themselves in
name, that's
Yosemite,
right.
no panky, hanky, or otherwise, before sneaking into her office to make out with Alan Arkin's son. Adam Arkin plays Will, the school's guidance counselor, but his counsel ain't the only thing Laurie's been guiding, if you get my meaning. Later
Yeah,
on,
no
they have a
kidding.
lunch date in town where she's unable to bring herself to tell him about her Haddonfield history. Oh well, if you can't get over your tragic past, might as well chug, chug, chug. Keeping Laurie's staff and students safe at Hillcrest is security guard Ronnie, played by LL Cool J.
It's a
And
little.
he's
It's
also
obviously
an
a lot more
aspiring
subtle
smart
in this
writer.
movie. Her paranoia.
Tumultuous, round, melon breasts.
Round melon. What?
Yeah, his wife's not exactly the biggest fan. He's gotta be better at slash fiction than security guarding though, since he agrees to let John and Charlie sneak off campus so they can plan
that
a
guy was a
romantic
good
weekend with their
addition
lady.
to
Why
the
you ain't
movie.
following those LL rules, Jay? In town, John and his high school me-looking friends shoplift a bottle of booze from a nearby liquor store, way to hurt the local economy, youths. And on their way back to Hillcrest, they get cornered by Laurie, who yells at them because they're not supposed to be off campus at all. And on Halloween day, Laurie Strode ain't got no chill.
What the fuck do you think you're doing?
John yells back at her and tells her that Michael Myers is dead. Get the fuck over it, Mom. But sadly, John doesn't know how wrong he is. We check back in on Michael in Northern California, where a mom is taking her daughter to a rest stop to pee. Functionally, this scene
Great
is just here
moment.
so
I
Michael
like
can
this
trade
moment
Marion Chambers'
a lot.
messed up ride for this lady's weirdly old-fashioned whip. But stylistically, it's a really good scene of tension and suspense, especially the way it uses the mother's point of view and how fearful she is for her daughter as a scary stranger steals her purse. I think it's a great example of why why H2O is a solid sequel, even if you're not a fan of the Kevin Williamson-like dialogue. Michael drives that shitty rust bucket to Hillcrest to scope out the security sitch, and that sucks for Laurie, because even someone with 2 eyes shot out could see that Ronnie is just an LL Fool J. Don't worry, Ronnie, that verbal flogging you're getting is totally worth it in the name of
That
love.
is a good point. Both his eyes were shot out.
The perfect basement date for Molly. This place looks like somewhere I'd play poker in high school. Not take my girlfriend to get a handy, but whatever works, I guess. As Laura Carey teaches her class about Frankenstein, Molly repeats a beat from the original when she sees Michael out the window. When Laurie calls on her and breaks Molly's concentration, she's still able to do the final girl thing and answer the question correctly, delivering a thematic message about confronting the monster that leaves her teacher frozen still until the bell rings. As the other students leave, Laurie thinks that she's doing her son a favor when she calls him over and gives him a permission slip for the Yosemite trip. But it's too late for good parenting, Care Bear. This kid's got a roaming orgy plan. An updated version of the classic theme plays as all the other Hillcrest kids board their school buses and leave campus for their Yosemite
Sorry,
trip.
I know it's not a bad movie
for the slasher ahead. Before we get to the night's affairs, though, we've got to have a metatextual moment with Laurie's secretary Norma, played by her real-life mom, Janet Leigh.
If I could be maternal for a moment.
For extra fun, the scene even starts with a quote from the original Halloween.
It's Halloween, I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
Janet Leigh, of course, played the infamous psycho shower victim, Marion Crane, who, yes, the nurse from these movies was named after. Horror's a very incestuous genre. Norma wishes Carrie well and then heads off to trade in her Ford mainline as echoes of the Psycho score
Rest in peace.
Oh, Miss Tate, happy Halloween.
Sure, it's super meta, but I enjoyed this scene as
never
an homage
noticed
to one
that
of the greats.
Psycho
That night,
theme
Ronnie
playing
finds
through that
Michael's stolen
moment.
truck smoking
Wow,
outside the
that's
school
awesome.
gates. And since this is a smoke-free campus, he can't help but take a closer look. While he's inside the vehicle, though, a real LL Ghoul J sneaks behind him, and now the campus's security has officially been breached. I like this movie, but that was a real dumb character moment, and the only purpose was to get Michael inside the school. Pretty lazy. In any case, he's there now, and Laurie sees him as she's closing up shop for the night. We get one of those ambiguous, was that just an illusion or was he really there moments when Will ends up running into Laurie instead, but after she leaves, Will does in fact spot Michael over there. So yeah, he's definitely walking around. And now if you'll excuse me, I'd like to nitpick like a real big nerd. Consider this scene.
Do you wanna die tonight, Cece?
Yes, that's a clip from Scream 2. Seems like a fine thing for these high school girls to be watching, right? But wait a minute, what if they had done a double feature that night and watched the original Scream before the sequel? You know what they would have seen?
Watch out, Jamie, you know he's around.
Jamie, look behind you.
Behind
you. Jamie, turn around.
Oh! Yeah, dude, they would have seen Malibu's Most Wanted watching a scene with her headmistress in a movie that's still canon in this timeline. That don't make sense. Again, it's nitpicky, but it also like blows up the fabric of space-time in this universe, so it's always bugged me a little bit. Whatever, though. That's actually not even the craziest thing in this scene.
I don't think they
it
thought
has
that
this
through.
exchange.
Care to join us?
I can't. I'm having my nipples pierced.
Oh.
I know the humor of this movie doesn't work for everyone, but I think the actors sell
That was a good moment. I like that one.
The teens are having a real fire hazardous evening.
I need to watch
with
this
a
movie
romantic
again. I really
meal
do.
To get them in the mood, consisting of school cafeteria leftovers. Meanwhile, Laurie and Will skip the foreplay and get straight to lip smacking. Laurie puts the lovemaking on hold to finally tell Will about her past, and here we get some lines that I'm not such a big fan of.
My brother killed my sister when she was 17.
Well, that's sucky.
Yo, dude, take her seriously. She's got her serious face on. He does eventually, and when he asks how old she was when everything went down, Laurie freaks out because she realizes that she was the same age then that John is now. In his bedroom, she finds his Yosemite bag as evidence that he never actually left campus, and that's enough cause for her to pull out a Loomis-style handgun from under her pillow and spring into action. Charlie and Sarah are having a real Crispin Glover problem tonight. They've got a bottle of booze but no corkscrew. A fast thinker, Charlie hops into the dumbwaiter to go to the upstairs kitchen and look for one there. It's like an updated version of Part 5's laundry chute mechanic. I like it, but before Charlie can yell, "Ted, where the hell's the corkscrew?" a shape appears behind him, and sadly this shape has a CGI mask? What? Yeah, dude, it had to do with reshoots and shit, but wow, he looks like he wandered out of a scanner darkly. Cell-shaded or not, Mike still manages to kill Charlie since Sarah
What's
finds
so
his
hard of
corpse in the
darkening out the
dumbwaiter with
eyes?
his
I
throat
don't get
slit
it.
Pretty friggin' deep there, obviously done with a jagged corkscrew instead of your standard chef's knife. Michael appears in a doorway, and in an an effort to
This
escape
kill's
him, Sarah
good.
snuggles up to her dead boyfriend and rides the dumbwaiter up, giving Michael the chance to repeat a shot from part 5. As she's climbing out upstairs, though, Michael cuts the pulley system out from the dumbwaiter, causing it to fall and crush her leg, just snapping that boy real bad. Quick thinking there, Mike. With her movement marred, Sarah's unable to crawl away from Michael when he comes upstairs, and he kills her as she pleads for her life with at least 4 stabs to the back using his standard murder knife. Although the kill is mostly off-screen, we do get to see a body shortly when John and Molly open the pantry to find Sarah's corpse strung up like Casey Becker, her insides on the outside. John and Molly look over to see Michael doing his head tilt thing, so they get the heck out of there, but Michael catches up and almost sticks Molly with his knife before John stops him. For that white knighting, John gets a knife in the leg, but Molly stops Michael with a rock and the teen lovers manage to get away, of course without bothering to double tap the guy trying to kill them. As in many Halloween films, they find themselves stuck behind a locked door as the Shape approaches. Michael slashes at them through a gate for a while before grabbing the keys Molly dropped to get inside, but before he can find the right one, John and Molly are saved by Laurie, who shares an iconic shot with Michael through this porthole window. I mean, this shit was literally in every trailer. It's the definitive shot of this movie. But as she's getting her gun out to kill him, Michael plays an old standard and disappears from sight. Laurie puts her son and his girlfriend in a closet and tells them sternly to stay put.
Do as I say now!
Sounds like a plan, Laurie, but too bad you've got trigger-happy Will with you to take your gun away and shoot at what he thinks to be the Shape. Turns out it was just Ronnie, though. You're lucky this ain't the age of social media, Will.
You gotta be.
Your ass would be a hashtag right now.
He
But
had
instead
plenty
of
of time
hash,
to
his
make-
ass is grass. And
Yeah.
here comes Lawnmower Michael to stab Will in the back with his knife. Michael kills Will by lifting him up off the ground as Laurie runs
Halloween
away,
2
kind of
moment.
echoing the Part 2 Nurse Karen kill. Man, Michael's got fewer moves to him than a friggin' Soul Calibur character. Laurie gets
That
the
guy-
kids and they all run off. As
that
Michael
was
does
such
what
a
Michael
moment
does,
that could have been
slowly
avoided.
chasing after them. The ladies load
Just
the
waited
injured
a few
John into an
seconds and you would have
SUV as
known.
Michael stalks after them in a scene where his mask keeps alternating between the 2 different versions they use during shoots. They manage to get away, but when they
I
reach
hate
the
that
gate,
they did
Laurie
that with
tells
the mask.
kids to carry on without her.
It's almost
while quoting
unforgivable.
even more
I hate
dialogue
that.
from the original.
I want you to drive down the street to the Beckers. It's a mile down the road. Tell them to call an ambulance and get the police. No, we're not leaving. Do as I say now!
You already referenced that line, though. Like, we get it, the original had a bunch of dialogue we all know, but we don't need to hear every last bit of it regurgitated. Regardless of her repetition, the kids do as she says, and they leave Laurie alone on campus so she can axe herself up like a boy going to his first middle school dance. With our final act all set up, Laurie heads back to the school to confront her murderous brother. Michael eventually shows up with a real sweet negative one-armed pull-up to get
Pretty
behind
fucking good.
Laurie so they can have a slash-off. We'll call round 1 a draw, but Laurie takes round 2 with a flagpole to the chest. Round 3 is in the kitchen.
I wonder if he's gonna
where
talk.
Laurie
She's
misses
gonna-
a bunch of knife tosses at Michael, but successfully defends against his own retaliatory strike. We are deep in Final Girl Circuit territory at this point, and you all know the
Did she
words
not-
to this
did he
song.
not
The
go
cool
over the
thing here is
nut
just
kick,
how much
that
of a fighter
cringy
Laurie
ass
is, as
moment?
she eventually stabs Michael a ton of times in the chest and knocks him over a second-story balcony to crash through a table below. Unfortunately, when she goes down there to finish him off for good, she's interrupted by a still-living Ronnie who, survived a gunshot to the head? LL Cool J must
It
have a
nicked
damn
him.
good agent. Emergency vehicles show up and Michael gets put in a body bag. But if you think that's the end of this, I've got a fucking bridge to sell you. Cause Laurie's not leaving this one to the authorities and goes the full Sam Loomis in order to hijack the coroner's van and drive us to this movie's finale. As she speeds along the California highway, the body in the bag behind her starts coming back to life, just as she suspected. And after he gets out, he goes to attack her, but Laurie slams on the brakes and sends the man in the mask flying out through the windshield. She waits for him to do the standard Michael Myers sit-up before revving up the van and imitating Rachel's Part 4 attempt at vehicular homicide. So many references! The stunt sends both of them and the van all tumbling down the hill together, with the Shape getting the short end of the stick when the van smashes him against a fallen tree. Laurie recovers as the van catches fire, but she knows better than to trust the fire to kill
I'll
Michael
talk
Myers.
after.
Fool me once, you know? And so she grabs the fire axe and heads over to confront Michael. She finds him pawing at his mask in a weird way, and he even tries to reach out a hand towards her in an attempt to make peace or something. But that shit ain't gonna work on Laurie fucking Strode, so after briefly ETing with him, she takes that axe and cuts his freaking head off! Yeah, wow! Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna count this as a half kill right now, and it'll make more sense next video, I promise. Like, it's definitely a kill, but there's further explanation to it, so just take my word right now. Needless to say, though, this was a shocking way to end the movie, and in my opinion, it would have made for an excellent end to the franchise. But like all good horror franchises, Halloween just didn't know when to quit. Always gotta be adding kills, you know? Let's see how many this entry added and get to the numbers. That's some good H2O.
I can't believe you just made that joke.
There were 6.5 kills in Halloween H2O, and I promise that'll make at least a little more sense next video. The victims included 4.5 dudes and 2 ladies, giving us this pretty standard pie chart. And with a runtime of 86 minutes, we wound up with a kill on average every 12.29 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Jimmy. Yeah, it was done off screen, but it was with an ice skate. That's something kind of new.
It's
Plus,
cool,
who
but
doesn't want to see Tommy Solomon with a skate in his snarky face? Dull machete for lamest kill will go to Jimmy's buddy Tony, because I hate that stupid corpse standing behind a door trope. Be better.
I don't agree with those.
It.
Sorry.
Halloween H2O came out in 1998,
He
20
likes
years
the movie,
after the original, and was the first Halloween sequel to make as much money as the original. That meant the Myers fire was hot when they cooked up Resurrection, which I'll cover next week. Until then, I'm James A. Janice.
Fun.
This has been the Kill Count.
Fun
Thanks
stuff.
a lot for watching this week's Kill Count.
Okay, now I can talk. I don't agree with those kills. My favorite kill was the principal and superintendent, whatever you want to call him. And my lamest kill probably would have been Jimmy. Not Jimmy. His buddy that fell. I agree. I actually agree with that. That one. Yes, the guy who fell was the lamest kill. When he's just standing at the door and he just falls. I don't know. That makes no sense. It never made any sense. Never. Not once when they use it. Yeah. Actually, I'll be honest, I wasn't a big fan. If that's how Michael Myers went, I guess I would have been okay with it. It's not the worst way to go. Actually, it's kind of poetic how he went out right there, but at the same time, you know it's not Michael Myers, so it's not really... And I don't know how he would have survived getting hit by a car, flying out of the windshield and being still conscious. None of that made sense. If he was just a normal guy, if that was the case, then Michael Myers is just a normal person, because anybody can apparently get up after that shit and still be okay. Like when he started grabbing his face and stuff, like, oh my god, I'm alive and stuff, and it's like, what? To me, that's the stupidest shit. I don't know why I don't even know why they tried to attempt that, and they did attempt it, and they failed miserably, because no one likes that twist. Not one person likes that twist where Michael Myers is alive because he he put the mask on someone else. Which, in my opinion, Myers would never take off his mask and put it on someone else, ever. It's his mask, in my opinion. That's why I still prefer the new Halloween film. I think it's just a lot better. I like the fact that Myers does not take off his mask for any reason, unless it's ripped off of him. I don't know. H2O just has a lot of things I don't like about it. I don't like the late 1990s, early 2000s feel. I think that works better for Scream and not Halloween. I like my Halloween movies to have more of a holiday feel, and this one did not have a holiday feel to it. It just felt like it felt like a Hollywood movie. That's probably why it just felt like a Hollywood movie. Really Hollywoodified. So that's my personal opinion. You guys may not agree with me. That's fine. I understand 100%. I know a lot of people love H2O, and that makes perfect sense. And, there's a lot of moments that, people say Jamie Lee Curtis is more believable in this one than she is in the new one. And it really doesn't matter to me whether it's more realistic or a lot more subtle. I still enjoy the new one more. I feel like she's more of a badass. I feel like, sometimes her lines can be sometimes her lines are extremely cringy, where she goes and says like Happy Halloween, Michael, or Trick or Treat, Michael, stuff like that. I don't need that. I know it takes place on Halloween. You don't have to keep coming up with one-liners for Jamie Lee Curtis. It just doesn't work, honestly. She's a badass without one-liners. So, rant over on that. But guys, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Did you guys like the movie? Did you guys hate the movie? Out of curiosity, what would you pick as your least favorite and your favorite kill of H2O? And keep it retro, movie friends. And until next time, take care.